All right. Just doing this video. It's been a while. I know that I made a public video on the channel. So it's due to the fact that I've actually been busy with a lot of things, part of which I'll be showing this night. In addition to that, I've had to deal with my hard disk crashing twice. Um, okay, the first one wasn't really a crash. I had an issue with BitLocker and all that, had to format the drive, and then eventually towards the ending of January this year, had my hard disk crash and um, lost so many of my files, EAs, and all that, and had to basically start all over again in creating them, the executioner, the auto market, everything was surprisingly gone. At least I'd created a new one that I'd coded from the ground up. Um, and everything just somehow I thought I'd packed it up, but by the time I checked, it wasn't among my backups. So I had to virtually take out time to start all over again, in addition to dealing with some personal issues. But behind the scene, of course, I've been working a lot on, for those of you who were around during um, the webinar series I had, the masterclass I had towards the end of last year, uh, talked about so much around how to build profitable strategies and all that. And um, with what I was using then, so still basically volume, I was mentioning the fact that most strategies don't work long term and all that, and still using volume by score. A lot of times they'll come take my stop and move, take my stop, move, take my stop, move, and all that. So I eventually created a system. Um, that handled that. So I kept trying to just solve one problem after another, solving a problem of the stop loss me taking and all that. So eventually, in fact, I was talking to my wife and I said I was actually grateful that things didn't work out straight away the way I was thinking it was going to work out from the ending of last year into the beginning of this year, because that would have allowed me to fully utilize what I'm about to fully optimize and then come up with what I'm about to share. So I'm going to be sharing an EA. I've called it the Forex legend because that's the kind of I'm seeing into the future what is going to be, right? It's going to become a legendary EA. I'm very, very, very sure of that. So in addition to this, I've also created I will try to stop saying I've also created the an indicator on TradingView. I've also created an indicator on TradingView that basically powers this EA. So for those who were fortunate enough to go through the FXP before it was brought down, there is actually something behind the scenes which they are aware of, or they should be aware of, that is powering it. The only thing is that I've been able to rectify some of the issues we had with our earlier E8 by drilling down to the least available time frame, and then looking at it, not trying to predict a trend, because that was one of the mistakes, trying to be trend following. That's wrong. So with this EA, we're not trying to be trend following. So at the end of the day, what moves markets is not price. It's not that there is another block or there is whatever. It's actually the interaction between buyers and sellers. So who is more aggressive, who is placing in the orders? Markets will only go up if the aggressive buy orders, and those aggressive buy orders are more than aggressive sell orders, right? So if people are just hitting the ask, hitting the ask, hitting the ask, hitting the ask, and with sufficient volume, and there is nobody to absorb that buying volume, then price would trend up, right, until that stops, and on it goes. So basically, what I've done with the system behind the Forex Legend, it's to look at what volume is in. So what are the big players doing? So the commitment of traders reports is one of the most advanced tools that most of the professional guys use to maintain profitability over the long run. However, the commitment of traders reports come with an issue, and that is the fact that it's usually late. So on Friday, you are getting data of what happens on Tuesday. What if we could get data almost in real time of what is happening at the moment. Imagine the difference that could make. But that is actually what's not perfect, but this has tried to do. So I'm just going to run this with historical data. So I'm going to be talking about two types of data. So we have historical data and real tick data, right? So I'm going to be running to historical data from IC markets. Then I'm going to run it using tick data, real tick data, and that is the real way you should backtest EAs. I will do a video in future showing the difference between every tick. You know, when you come to your backtesting, so you have every tick, and then you have every tick based on real ticks. These other ones, don't use this into backtesting EA apart from I don't even think there's anything you want to use this to other to backtest, right? So either this or this, but this is way more accurate, right? So there are sometimes that I don't have time in this video. That's not what this video is all about. I'm going to make a video in future where I'm going to show you some EAs that if I run it on every tick, I'm going to be making like 10x. But by the time you run it on every tick based on real ticks, the profit drops to less than even 20%. And by the time you just apply a bit of delay here, which you see, for instance, you see that with my current connection now from just my laptop, my delay, right? My connection speed is 194.30 milliseconds. So whenever I place an order on this system, it's going to hit my broker 194 milliseconds after I do it, right? So you think that is milliseconds, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to see you in that video. So look forward towards it. Uh, 20 millisecond delay turns an EA from being about 20% profitable to becoming a losing EA, right? And then if I run that same EA on every tick, that EA is doing like 10x. So that's the reason why you should always run your EAs based on every tick based on real ticks, right? So this one, every tick based on real ticks. So I'm going to run the two of them. For this particular EA, since I'm using 1 minute, right? We are usually looking at the 1 minute closing. We'll go into the inputs. You usually see that it doesn't make so much of a difference. It still makes a bit of difference, but not so much. So I'll just run it and then I'll come back to talk about um, what it's all about. So this is going to be real quick. So this is going to be from June 20 of last year to current date, right? We'll see how that pans out. All right. So based on this, I actually need to check something. Okay, I don't know why it's still giving this end of tests. It should have ended on March 30th. So let's look at the settings. Supposed to end March 30th. That's the moment. Okay, I guess that is using it's using the what's it called? It's using my local time, not I always thought that I used to use the server time. All right, so if we look at the reports, if we look at before we go into this, so if we look at the reports, we'll see that based on this, this achieved total net profits. This is not the gross profit. Total net profits was 13K 767 dollars. So that would have been 137%, right? And then the equity drawdown maximum, it's about 20%. So forget this 8.38% that is here. This is actually wrong. So focus on this, right? This is actually what it is, about 20% drawdown, all right, to achieve 137% net profit. So, which is quite good. So let's now look at the settings before we continue. All right. So usually have and this anyway, we'll get to that. So usually have a target. So we usually place our trades. So the way this works, it basically just places a trade at the start of the day. So it's going to be powered by this indicator, right? So I can just take it off. At the moment, it's not publicly available. So if I just come here to, I'm not go to favorites, just come to indicators. All right. So if I come to my scripts, right, you'll see that this daily bias features by trade experts. Of course, I'm trade experts. So if I add this to the charts, all right, so you can see the bias. So you see at the end of every day or towards the end of every day, it basically does an analysis based on the positioning of the big players in the market and determines what it should do, right? So are we supposed to be selling? Are we supposed to be buying? So for every day of the week, from for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, immediately the market opens, and you know the futures market opens 1 a.m., right? So 1 a.m. UTC plus 3, right? So usually, and this is based on or GMT plus 2, with the daylight savings being the US time, right? So this would have calculated that before then. So once the market opens, we basically place our trade. So because it's 1 a.m., that's the reason why we are going to come to this place, and our target hour is going to be 1 a.m. So immediately market opens, we want to get in. So if we are buying, we want to buy, and then we'll place another order, right? The EA will also analyze and place another order based on the settings that we tell it to use, right? So the idea is that usually your stop loss is big enough that normal fluctuations in the markets shouldn't mess with it. So it's based on the daily ATR, right? So it's usually large enough. But even with that, as we'll come to see, if I go to the back tests, one of the things you will see about the holding time, you will see that the average position holding time is 16 hours. So even though the stop losses looks a bit wide, yet because we are in line with what the big players are doing, majority of the time our positions we momentum is in our favor, and if we are wrong, we are also wrong very quickly, right? So it's just hit the first order SL, hit the second order SL, and you're basically out of it. So we'll place 2 trades each day, and then we are waiting for the market to respond. Sometimes it will just be the first trade. I'll just go hit TP. Once TP is hit, it deletes the second order and stuff like that. Right. So if I go back to trading view, you basically get this, right? So you see, but at some point I was worried because we were so much selling, we were just selling, the buyers kept selling, just sell foreign currency, right? So we use this on the euro. I don't have time to, I don't want this video to be too long to start explaining why it has to be the euro. Before I used to use the dollar, which was another mistake I was making earlier, because the volume is way lower on the dollar. The dollar is not the CME. The COT reports don't use the dollar, right? So you see, you have the Euro FX, you have AUD, you have GPY and all that. You won't really see the dollar because it's not part of the CME group. The CME group doesn't have a dollar futures, right? So that's basically that. So for instance, today is Monday 30th. Um, the market has already closed for the day. So you will see, if you go to your MT, you'll see there's a candle that is already forming. So this candle, I don't want to say it's a fake candle, but brokers basically can do whatever they want to do with this candle, right? So that's why we are not interested in placing any order until the futures markets open. And the brokers normally take their bearing from these futures markets, right? So as we can see for tomorrow, Tuesday, we don't have a bias. So tomorrow is basically telling us to stay out of the markets. We don't have any business with the market. So sometimes it's going to be like this. But for those who are using the EA, this will be gotten automatically. So the EA is already programmed to fetch this data, right? So it's going to fetch this data automatically. All you just need to do is to make sure that your platform is open at the target time, beginning of the day, and it's going to get that data, it's going to place the orders. Now, on Fridays, because over time I've seen that a lot of times when we get a bias that is supposed to be for Monday, a lot of times price will open with a gap in our direction, right? So in case, say we are supposed to be selling, so I'll just use this week as an example. So we are supposed to be selling on Monday. So you could see this. So you will see that this turns down just towards the close of the day, right? So on Monday, we are supposed, which is today, my time, I'm still in Monday, I'm still on Monday. So we are supposed to be selling, but you see that price opens with a gap, price gaps down, right? So if we usually wait for Monday to take this trade, oftentimes we take the trade at a worse position. So the EA again has been programmed such that on Fridays, is going to go fetch Monday's bias, and then towards market close, we are going to place the orders for Monday, right? So that by the time market decides to gap down in our direction, we are already in the trade, right? Instead of waiting till 1 a.m. on Monday to place the trade. So that's why we have this Friday target hour. So the time for taking Monday's trades is this target hour. So you want to ideally place it just before the market closes and all that, and then delete hour. So any orders that are not picked towards the ending of the day, we just basically delete those orders. Place reference, seek reference, just leave them as 1 minute. Now the set symbols and modes. So for here, our primary symbol is always Euro USD. We are getting our direction primarily from the Euro futures, right? So our primary symbol is Euro USD. Then we have a second symbol. Now the recommended settings is that you use GBP USD as your second symbol, but you could virtually use any of the majors. And when I talk about the majors, I'm talking about AUD, JPY, and to an extent CAD as well, right? So you could use USD CAD, you could use USD JPY, you could use AUD USD as well instead of GBP USD, but recommended use GBP USD. The reason is that both Euro and GBP are a bit neutral. So AUD and CAD are commodity currencies, and JPY is a safe haven currency, right? So they usually don't always, they usually respond more to fundamentals than just only positioning alone, right? So now when you've selected the direction you want to go, you're going to decide whether you want to trade in line with the bias of the Euro USD or whether you want to hedge what you are doing in Euro USD. So regardless, I can guarantee you that if you follow what I do, if you follow the recommended settings, you'll be profitable. But following the main bias is usually the best way to go about it, right? So if you go for hedge, you can just click this and select hedge. If you go for hedge, you have a smoother equity curve, but your profit is way reduced, right? So that's what basically that will do. Now, so you choose the amount to risk on your primary symbol. So this should usually be double of what you are going to be risking on the second symbol. So for this, we've selected 200. So we want to be risking 200 USD on each trade. Remember, we are going to be opening 2 trades, right? Or we're going to be opening 1 trade and then a second order. So sometimes even the second trade is not triggered and the first one just hits TP. Sometimes the first one hits SL, the second one is picked, that hits TP. We are still in profit because we are targeting 2R, right? You can decide to override your primary bias that the EA gets and put your own bias. That's up to you. Everybody can do anything they want to do. I recommend you leave all the rest as they are. So I included something I called a commission cover. So with a lot of the EAs I've created in time past, I discovered that commissions always eat into the profit. So I've decided that going forward, I'll be adding just a little bit, right? Just so with this in points. So that's 1 pip. So that 10 points there is 1 pip. So just add 1 pip to do a lot to cover the commissions that you are going to be um, paying, right? And usually that would affect the outcome of the trade. So that's basically the what you have, and then when you run it, you basically get these results that we had. So one of the things you would see here immediately is that um, the Sharpie ratio, that's what I call it. I don't know what other people call it. The Sharpie ratio is 4.35, which is really, really good, right? Total trades that we are taking 294, right? So the thing I want to call your attention to is that the profit trades, right? So you see that you have the win ratio, the win rate is 44.56%. So at the end of the day, you're actually losing more trades than you actually win, right? So you have to get comfortable with that. You're going to lose slightly more trades than you win, right? And that's going to vary from period to period. There are going to be periods, months where we are going to see the month by month breakdown. There are going to be months where you are just flying, right? Like December, you are just flying. I think November, so you're just flying, and then there are going to be months where it's going to just task you like February. In fact, even this beginning of March, um, it was initially it's uh, challenging in terms of uh, the win rate. So it started off not so good and then progressed well as the months went by. If I take you to here, you'll see that even those deals that doesn't even give the full capture because all these trades that didn't were just ended because of end of tests, right? Eventually hits, all of them have hit TP. So this is my own account. This trade seeker is the precursor to the Forex legend. So with this one, I still need to put the buyouts manually, right? And all that. So, but this was what I've been using, seen all those trades, all the sells, right? So everything has now hit TP, including that of Friday, right? For this week. So you see everything has hit TP as well. So the profits actually would have been uh, much higher for the month of March. All right, so let's go back to the reports. So we scroll down, we can see entries by profit and losses by months. And the good thing you can see is that there's actually no month where there is a loss. There is no month where there's a loss, where you end a month with a loss. Let me put it that way. Not that there's no loss. You can say every month there are losses, of course. So, but there's no month where you don't end a month at least either on break even or in profit, right? I've showed the holding time. So the average holding time, you usually end most of your trades within 48 hours, right? So you can see that within 48 hours, the majority of trades are closed. So if you take a trade today, within 40 days over or latest the following day, the trade is likely to have hit TP or hit SL. So you're not holding trades for too long, right? And then it's playing with your mind and all that, right? So that's basically how that works. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to also test this using real tick data. So I've downloaded tick data from Dukascopy using tick data suite. That's what I normally use. I'll probably do a video in future on how to use tick data suite to actually get real tick data to test your ears. So what I'm going to do, I already have this. So when you're using these things, you have to create a custom pair that you derive from another pair. So I've already done that. So we have Euro USD. Just notice the back test. This is 13,767, right? So 13,767. And then so we're going to come to inputs. I'm going to change this to Euro USD underscore CDS. So I'm the one that created that. So tick data suite. That's basically what it means. All right. I think that's all. So I need to change this to, okay. Now, when we did the back tests, all right, so we did this based on um, historical data. So before I do this, sorry, making this video unnecessarily long. Before I do this, let me show you the difference. And come back to here, Euro USD, and now say, let's take every tick based on real ticks. Every tick based on real ticks, and then let's test. It's going to take slightly longer, but you are going to see something about the quality. So when we looked at the last one, it was 99%, right? Based on historical data. Now let's test based on real ticks, how it actually happened, right? So it will need to download that information from the broker. But most brokers just keep information for about 4 months, 3 to 4 months. That's all they do. So if you need to test for longer than that, you are going to run into a bit of a problem. So you will now see that the history quality is 28%, right? 28%. And then this one is telling us that we would have done 14,115, which is not, it might be true or not be true, but you can see the history quality is 28%. So it's basically telling you that you can't trust this information that this guy is giving you. So let's use the data from Dukas copy. So they provide this data. You're going to download this. I've had to download close to 13 gig of data across various things because I'm always working on so many things at the same time. So across various things that I'm trying to work on, gold indices as well. So I've had to download data from like 2020 on some things. I'm trying to see how it works. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place. All right, so inputs, always make sure you're selecting the right thing here. And now we are going to do this every ticks based on real ticks, right? We're going to start. Is it taking this long? Okay, I'm just going. And again, you can see this is, I just like the growth rate, right? So just basically trending up. Actually, if we do this tomorrow, I actually thought because if crossed over into the new day, this would have wrapped up. This has actually recovered back to the highs. It has exceeded the previous highs that were created before this peak that was created in February. Right, it has exceeded it. But we'll just leave it at that. So when we do this, okay, we have a problem. It gave us 15,104. But I know there's an issue that we didn't cater to. So when you're using custom data or when you're using data you downloaded, you have to come and specify the commissions. So if I come here and I go to deals, you'll see that there are no commissions that we are charged, right? So commissions we are not charged. So we need to go to settings. So we need to come to this place, click on it. So for commissions, we want to say use custom settings. So you see on IC markets, commission is 3.5. So for a round lot or for a round trip, that is $7 per standard lot. So $7 per standard lot. is what IC market charge. Most prop firms charge less than that, right? So most prop firms charge 5, but we'll still use that of IC market. So I will just import this. I've already created it before, so you'll see how it looks. Custom commissions. All right, so you can see that. So the commission is 3.5, right? So round trip is going to be 7. Okay, so start. So when we run this again now, it's going to include the commissions. So this is the mistake that some people also do when they are backtesting, not properly including trading costs. All right, so now we have 13,816, which is still close to what we had before. So when we use the historical data, we had 13,767. This is 13,816. So it's quite close. And that's because we're using the 1 minute to do most of what we are doing, not really working on a tick by tick basis. But there are certain EAs where that would make a lot of difference. But look at the history quality. The history quality is 100%, right? So you can trust the results that you are getting, right? Is based on what actually happened. So the only limitation that we have in terms of how far back we can go has to do with trading view. So on trading view, for instance, on the free plan, you can't even go beyond December. So if we take this thing back, right, take this thing to December. So you see that your data, all this was grayed out. So gray basically means no bias. So that could be, or that is when it's for a prolonged period, that means there's no data for it to work with. So this actually starting 17 December. So you just have about 3 months on the free plan. If you're on the paid, if you're on a paid plan, if you're on premium, which was what was necessary to get all the data, you have 4 times that, right? So you have 4 times that, so you're able to go way back. But even due to the fact that we're using 1 minute, even when trading view says you're supposed to have 4 times that, you still don't get up to exactly 4 times that. A lot of times it just stops at two times that plus, right? So you get about 7 to 8 months of data on the premium plan. So that's why I'm able to get from June till date. So, but that's still sufficient time, because usually, if you've read Mark Douglas' book, basically what you're looking for is 100 trades, right, to be able to determine whether something works or not. And already we are getting 298. So it's more than sufficient to make a decision uh, based on it. All right. So what if you want to work with prop firms? Of course, you can't be looking at 20% drawdown. So if you are working with prop firms, what I'll just suggest is that you do something like this. Going to change this to 0.5%. And this is going to be at 0.25. And then we are just basically going to run this, right? Because with prop firms, what you are after is capital preservation, right? That is what you are after, capital preservation. So let's see what that does. The graph, of course, will look similar, just that your profit will be a little bit, will be less, right? Not even a little bit, it will be less. All right, so you're able to do 33%, 33% with about a 5.17% drawdown, which is very, very good in my opinion, right? So 5% drawdown. So you don't even go near the 10% maximum drawdown that most firms allow you. And then you have 33%. So 33%, of course, on a 100K account, you know what that is, right? So that is basically the power of this. So the way I've been trading this, if I open, should I open this thing? Okay, let me just show something. Oh, let me just leave it. It's 10%. So let me just show it so that it doesn't look like um So for the month of, um, let's just start using this in March. So if we just look at the from March, I've been asking myself that the kind of difference this would have made if if I'd learned this a long while ago. So many things would have been um, way different. Oh, sorry. We actually got our first trade. There was a carryover trade from February rather. So you see what I meant by the month started bad, right? So you see the series of losses that we took at the beginning of the month before, of course, it rounded up nicely. So the way I've been trading in before now, I just basically trade only the primary pair, right? So, but what happens if you are doing that is that it's going to give you a more volatile equity curve. So if you are comfortable with that, of course, you can decide to trade only that. But using a secondary pair with a reduced lot size smooths out the equity curve better, right? So I'm going to be opening. This has been my control account for a while. Um, some people already have access to this account. It has been on what's it called? It has been on my FX, not my FX book. It has been on FX Blue. It has been on FX Blue for a while, so it's not a hidden account. So, but I'll be opening an account dedicated to uh the way the recommended settings are supposed to work, right? Using EUGU, and then it will be easy for everybody to track it. All right, so this the EA. Oh my God. Okay, so while we were talking, I was wondering why I forgot to switch this guy off. So immediately clicked 1 a.m. Um it took a sell trade. I should have taken this off. Thankfully, it hadn't made any noticeable change because there are some people who are copying these accounts, right? Okay, so that's basically it um, about the Forex Legend. So the EA will be available of course, it's not going to be for free. um, this is the one I'm not sure of. For now, I still want to keep it under wraps, make sure there are no bugs, right? With how it displays um, the buyouts on TradingView. I've not made up my mind whether I want to release it publicly or anything. For now, if you search for it, you can't even find it on TradingView, right? It's just in my script. It's not published yet. It's not published yet. So if I was using this thing instead of trade seeker, this one, for instance, won't have happened. To have fetched it and saw that there was no buyouts. But since it was one where I still used the manual um, one, that to put the bias, and the bias was still a sell from previous days. So, but for this one, this is going to be available on the Trade Experts website, right? It's going to be available from the 31st of March, right? I think around 12 noon. From 12 noon, 31st of March, it's going to be available on the Trade Experts website. I've tried to make sure that it's not going to be too expensive, especially at the start. I'm going to make sure it's not going to be expensive. Now, however, I'm going to be including something that I have never included in any of my previous products before, and that is a money back guarantee. Yes, I've not done a money back guarantee on any of my products before. But for this particular one, I'm going to be doing a 60-day money back guarantee. So the the thing about it is if you use this EA, you use the recommended settings, and you are not profitable after 2 months, you get your money back. No questions asked. As long as you use the recommended settings, after 2 months, you're not profitable, you get your money back. No questions asked. That is how sure or how I know what is behind um, the this particular So by the time you run through it and if you get it and do some experiments, you actually, there was something, okay, I think I showed it in terms of the months, right? See that there's really the months where there is, not. So March is still like this because it didn't register the trades of the last 2 or 3 days. All right. So that's basically that. It's going to be starting out at $200, right? So the EA is going to be $200 for start. Um, for between now and April 11th. So between now and April 11th, there's going to be a 30% discount for early birds. So there's going to be an early bird discount of 30%. An early bird discount of 30% between now and April 11. And after that, it's going to revert back to the full price of $200. And I promise you that you will never get that amount again. I can guarantee that. No, now I'm giving out guarantees. Yeah, as I'm doing the money back guarantee, I'm also guaranteeing what is going to be the lowest price is going to be. The price will only go up from there. It's what I want to guarantee. And once I launch um, the Palm accounts, which will be coming on board sometime in June, the price is going to go way, way, way up. Right. So anyone who is interested, now is the time to um, get it. Now, everyone who bought the turnkey, so for anyone who bought the turnkey or who bought the trend engine, right? So you have a 6 months. I'm giving you 6 months free. I'm going to be giving you 6 months free. So for everyone who bought, all you just need to do is just to message me on Telegram. Okay, I bought the trend engine, I bought the turnkey. You are going to be getting this 6 months. So the $200 is a rental fee, right? It's not, you're not buying the year outright. It's a rental fee for 1 year, right? So it gives you a 1 year license to the um, gives you a 1 year license to the Forex legend, right? For anyone who is interested. And if you got the turnkey or if you bought the trend engine, you also get 6 months free on this, right? So because I believe that 6 months is enough time um, to a lot of any other things you want to do with it and all that. So that's basically it. So for everyone who wants to get in, early bet offer expires April 11, 30% between now and then. And then if you have any questions around setting it up, if you need a VPS and all that, you can reach out to me personally, or I'm going to be including the link to the website for those who want to get it. Can go to the website to get it. There's also links there for anyone who wants to reach out for support, wants for whatsoever thing or the other. You can send an email. You can reach out on Telegram using the links available there, and so much more. That and of course, anyone who is interested in partnering up with us, you want to be an affiliate and market this product. Get to the link. I've changed so much around the affiliates, right? So just message us. So once you get there, you'll see the procedure. You just need to message, and then we'll open up discussions, and you'll be able to become an affiliate for this particular product and for all our other products as well. So that is going to be that. This video has taken way too long. I thought it's going to be a 30 minutes video. It's already 47 minutes and counting. So that's basically that. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comment section.